All right, today, Blind Reacts, we are going to look at a video that was posted by a gentleman who doesn't appear to be kind of in the FedEx world, but he looks to be big in business brokering, business consulting. And he posted a video called FedEx Routes, How to Buy a Business. So I thought this would be fun. Let me watch it. Let me record my reactions to it, and I might get violent. But typically, my issues with people who are advising people on the FedEx route business, one, they don't understand the difference between FedEx Linehaul and FedEx home delivery and the completely different business models that exist for both. So they'll typically give advice for the FedEx P&D route business and just lump Linehaul in. And as we know, there's nothing similar between those businesses aside from the logo that's on the side of the trucks. So let's see what he says. Follow along. I'll give him the benefit of the doubt, but I'm going to go hard if I need to. His ground biz pulled up.
Podcast where I talk about buying, selling, managing, and financing small and medium-sized businesses. I did a video probably 6 months or maybe a little bit more ago about bread routes or bread routes, I guess, if you're further down south.
Route versus route.
There's been a lot of conversation and discussion on that series of comments below in the YouTube channel. And I've actually had a hand in doing some evaluation work on some of these businesses. And so I wanted to just have a little discussion about these things, because sometimes these delivery businesses are framed as though they are franchises with protected territories and things like this. And there's an agreement between the two parties which frames it like you're buying something durable, like
definitely not
a restaurant franchise and they gave you a protected territory. Okay. And I know you have to maintain the contract and all the terms and conditions in order to keep your franchise in your territory.
TSPA, and I don't even know what they call it, but I don't know what it is, but they certainly make it clear we are not a franchisee's model, and they make that abundantly clear.
It's definitely clear when you own a franchise for a certain market area that you're the one that has it. They can't sell, other people into that market, etc. And if you're going to buy a franchise, of course, you'd be reading my book, Franchise Warnings, which you can get on Amazon as either Kindle paper.
Oh, he's got a book. That's pretty cool.
But let's get back to FedEx. Federal Express, when I was evaluating one of these FedEx routes, one of the things I asked...
Reasonable, independent contractor.
Because I didn't really know a whole lot about it at the time. So I got the contract, and it was really thick. But a couple of things in the contract stood out to me. And basically, the contract was a contract for service. The company did not own some kind of FedEx franchise. They were simply a supplier to Federal Express. So FedEx would get them to deliver and pick up packages, and in exchange for that service, FedEx would pay them a fee, and they ran their own business. And I went over here to the FedEx Ground website, and it talks about the business opportunities that they have for contractors, and they've got a bunch of them on here right now that you can apply for. Basically routes that they need filled for pickup and delivery. These are businesses that you could get into. You could get a truck. You could start picking up and delivering packages. FedEx, as far as I can read, isn't going to charge you money to become their supplier. That's an important idea to focus on, because they are not selling you a business opportunity.
Bingo. I get asked this question a lot. How much does FedEx sell the runs for, the routes for? And the answer is always zero. FedEx does not sell these runs. If you're going to buy something, it's going to be from a current contractor who is selling their business to you. He's talking about going on buildagroundbiz.com and applying for growth opportunities. Now, when he posted this video 5 years ago, we were a very different period of time when you could apply for growth opportunities and be awarded free runs. That's obviously not the case right now. Just did a video on that. I think I called it Free Routes with a very deceptive thumbnail. My bad, but unlikely at this point. But let's go.
They're merely posting that they need contractors to do certain work for them. They're looking for suppliers. So FedEx is not selling a business opportunity. This is a purchasing function. They're looking to acquire a supplier for a given area, okay? And what does it say on here? So business relationship. It says FedEx Ground is federally regulated in Canada and the US. FedEx Ground contracts with independent businesses that use their own employees to provide package pickup, delivery, and transport for an agreed upon service area. These are independent businesses or contracted providers, okay? It also goes on to say that they will only do business with corporations, not with partnerships or LLCs or sole proprietors, et cetera. So they have a certain threshold or mandate of what kind of company they're willing to contract with.
Corporations only. No individuals, no sole proprietorships, no LLCs. In order to contract with FedEx Ground, you need to be a corporation. Now, under that corporation designation, you can file to be an S Corp. So it's an S or a C Corp is fine, but it has to be a corporation.
And of course, this probably has to do with liability and all that kind of stuff. Is it a franchise opportunity? No, it's not. It's just simply a contracted service. They're hiring you to do a job. What are the responsibilities? Well, you're going to pick up or you can do line haul. So they have two different kinds of opportunities they do. And how are you compensated? Well, there's a volume or fee based on how many packages you deliver, or maybe how many miles or kilometers that you drive. So basically what they're saying is we are not selling a business opportunity. We are creating an opportunity for you to sell us your service. Now, here's what's going on out there is that people are signing up for these things and they're building profitable businesses, and then they're turning around and trying to sell those businesses to somebody else. And this is why when I was evaluating that one particular business, I asked for a copy of the contract, because within the contract, it basically says we have certain standards for delivery and certain standards for all kinds of things. Obviously, FedEx makes a promise to the end customer as far as when the package is going to get there and making sure things aren't lost and that kind of thing. And the contract renewed annually.
Annually. So he looked at a line haul business, because annually would be line haul, and the P&D contract is for 3 years, that agreement. So he's talking about a line haul based business.
So just like the other bread route video that I made, I said you're basically creating a business with one customer. In that video, it was the bread company. In this video, if you're going to buy a FedEx route, you're basically buying a business that has one customer. Now, in the past, I've evaluated other delivery operations which actually had multiple courier companies as customers. One of them had 5, I believe, different courier companies was using them. They kind of created this route through a rural area. And whenever somebody wanted to deliver packages in there weren't enough packages for them to hire their own contractor. These guys would say, hey, we'll do it. And so they were moving their vehicles through this rural zone, doing pickup and drop off for a bunch of competing courier companies. And so in that particular case, the business had real value because there was a huge barrier to entry. It didn't make sense for anyone else to try to create a route through that area because there wouldn't be enough volume unless you could bring the volume of many companies together, which they had. So there was a barrier to entry. And if one of those companies decided not to do business with them anymore, they wouldn't lose 100% of their income. They would just lose a portion of their income. So to me, that's a real delivery business, a real package business where they're doing business with different customers. Okay, lots of opportunities. With these FedEx routes, what you are basically doing is you're getting into business where you have one customer. And if you lose that one customer, then the entire thing evaporates. All of the goodwill's gone, and you're left basically with some trucks.
True.
Or whatever it is. And I know that some people are paying millions of dollars for these FedEx route businesses, and there is no guarantee whatsoever that FedEx may not change the rules, that FedEx may decide if they're doing enough deliveries in a certain area, they might put their own company-owned vehicle in there. There's all kinds of things that could happen.
I agree with him. Oddly enough, what he's saying is completely correct. And for someone who is learning about these routes and owning FedEx runs or routes, the home delivery stuff, it's a good point. You have one customer. Now for me, it's been extremely simplistic dealing with that one customer, not chasing down revenue from multiple sources. I ran a trucking company. I had multiple customers, and that was miserable. I hated it. 60 days, 90 days.
No, don't like that.
And it just was, I was unsuccessful, and it wasn't for me. Now there's people who do it much better, but for me and many contractors that I interact with, We appreciate the simplicity of the one revenue source model. I don't believe that the FedEx business model is going anywhere. He talked about they're going to put their own trucks on it. I can't speak on the P&D side because I have very wild thoughts when it comes to what FedEx should do in terms of the home delivery model. But on the Linehaul FedEx ground side, they have their own trucks. It's called FedEx Freight. It's called FedEx Express. They do run their own trucks. And when I look at the profitability of a FedEx ground model versus the other silos of their business, we're doing significantly better. We are a cash cow for them. So I don't see the ground going anywhere except for growth. But I do understand he makes a very reasonable point. Now, does that mean I want to go start a bread route in middle America and have a bunch of different customers and drop off hot bread? No, that's just not for me. I've been pitched it a couple of times. There's no way that model is for me.
No.
The growth, where do you grow? If you were one person and you wanted to do that yourself and operate it, I could see where the value's there. But outside of that, it's just not for me at all.
You need to have vendor financing for the entire amount of the goodwill, because if something should happen, you need the right to offset, or you need the ability to get out from under a bunch of debt if you no longer have a business that's functioning. So what I recommended to him was that he made a down payment, which was approximately the value of the equipment, trucks, etc., that he was receiving, so that if everything collapsed, he could at least sell the trucks, right, and get his money back.
Yes, what Dave says would be wonderful. If I could go to a seller and say, hey, seller, you got $1 million line haul business and these trucks are worth $300K. I'm going to give you $300K, and then we're going to seller finance the other $700. And then if something happens with the runs, then I'm not going to pay you. Yes, that would be wonderful. But unfortunately, there's not a seller in the country that's going to take you up on that deal. And I doubt on the P&D side as well, there's way too much demand for these opportunities than there is for a seller to take that deal at all. So if FedEx is pulling its contract from a contractor, it's got to be something significant. Like, you have to make an effort for them not to renew that contract or to pull the contract from you. You have to violate some major concerns. You need to lie to First Advantage to get a driver approved. The driver doesn't meet the qualifications, so you do some backdoor stuff that everybody knows how to do, but most people are smart enough to not do it. And that unethical act kicks you out of this. You're not able to be a contractor because of that. Okay, you had to really make an effort. Are you running trucks that go faster than 65 miles per hour consistently and getting tickets for it? Yeah, that's going to eventually be a problem. Are you not doing maintenance, which results in numerous accidents, and you have major safety concerns? They can't trust you being safe out there. These are issues that just have to be major concerns. Are you uniting FedEx contractors to unionize in violation of the TSPA that we all agreed to, in hopes that FedEx will renegotiate with all of the contractors? Yeah, you know what? That's going to be a problem. But in all, what we're seeing is, when it comes to the contracts, that the very few outlier situations where they haven't renewed a contract, it's got to be a major issue. There's zero fear that FedEx is going to pull my contract, because I make damn sure that I'm running a business that they appreciate, and that I am spending time, effort, money, putting it into my business, contracting with John, Linehaul Central, making sure that my safety is a paramount, top priority in what we're doing as a business and in terms of our growth. So I'm not worried, Dave, and I appreciate his concern. And I think this is someone who's probably very green when it comes to FedEx, but it's from a good place, so I can't knock him for that. Extreme risk? No, it's not extreme risk at all. Being in business is risky, right? But owning FedEx routes has certainly not been risky for the length of time I've been in. And it's so risky that we have customers now that have, for one reason or another, have decided they wanted to sell their business, and everyone has sold for more money at this point. So if you get in and it isn't for you, you just sell it to somebody else who wants a shot to get in, because there's plenty. That's me. Good point. I can't beat him up because he is extremely reasonable, and I don't disagree with him in most of the stuff he said. I just have a different perspective. I've been running these businesses, and I've been in the weeds for 10 years now, ensuring that his concerns aren't legitimate. And I wonder, 5 years later, if we followed up with him just to see what his thoughts are on the business today, I'd wonder if if he's done more of these deals or if he's helped more people and more familiar with the contract. But Linehaul is a year. And when it comes to renewing your contract, there's no contractor that's worried about getting their contract renewed. When we're signing the updated contract, what we're doing is accepting the new policies that FedEx has put into place. And some of those are frustrating. You got to add more safety equipment. You got to do this. You got to do that.
I am tired.
But some of them are good. It's the time where they give us an upgrade in pay. Or 2 years ago, they told us our trucks didn't have to be white anymore. So there's updated policies that are good that we're getting when it comes time to renew the contract or really just agree to the updated version of the contract. But the idea of losing runs and extreme risk certainly isn't the case. At least it isn't for me. And I'm only going to speak on behalf of myself. So to not make this too long, I thought I was going to be a lot more angry at this video than I am. He brings up extremely good points and certainly valid issues that we certainly want to talk through. But all of his concerns, I don't share them at all. And I think it's because I've been dealing with this day in, day out for quite a while. And I'd love to follow up with him and see if he has any different opinions now, maybe 5 years later. So thanks for hanging out.